best way for me as far as to manage my budget and manage my spending habits is I'll decide on how much money I have each month, and I'll decide what bills I need to pay, anything that definitely has to be paid every month. That money gets taken out. And then as far as necessities like food, I'll take a little bit of money out for that. And then whatever I have left over, that goes to miscellaneous things. So that's the best way for me as far as budgeting my spending.
Every transaction I make, like even if it's just going to the coffee shop, buying a coffee, I'll keep track of it in a spreadsheet. So I have it by category, like food, entertainment, gas, of all my purchases, so I can tell month to month if I've gone over in one certain area. And I also look at if I'm ever making a bigger purchase, if I really have the money to do that.
I used to sell candy, get a box of candy, and learn how to multiply. And it was $24, 24 candy bars in one box, and they only cost $6, and then we sold them for $2 a piece. We made $48 off that. That's just one example of what we did to keep ourselves doing things positive and not going to the street ways of selling drugs and gambling and things like that. I used to keep a little sheet of paper, kind of like a little books, kind of like if you want to call it, but just every time I would spend something or every time I would buy something, I would try to find out my return on my investment, and I would keep adding it up and keep adding and adding it until I looked like one day I had about 10 boxes of candy, and then next thing I know, it had tripled. I almost made like $600-700 within like a month or two, and I just kept adding and adding. Every time I got something, I would just add it on my books, and then just make sure it would take to get another box, and then what I would make off it. And next thing I know, I started to actually see a profit. So keeping a little piece of paper with this inventory on it, basically.
The biggest financial challenge that I've had is having bills every month and being able to remember to pay them and remember to budget them into my income.
The fact that in high school I had a little bit more supervision from my parents, and then having a little bit more independence in college, it's very easy to let your expenses get out of hand and take responsibility for what you're spending and where you're spending it when you don't have your parents behind your back saying, like, this is what you have to do, here's where you have to put it. And unless you follow the discipline unless I followed the discipline that my parents had taught me, there were times when I was tight on money because I spent too much on something that I shouldn't have spent on, or I didn't save enough for something that I knew was coming up.
You're not doing what you love, then you cease to exist. Taking that easy route is getting that 9 to 5, or robbing a convenience store and doing 9 to 5.
I grew up in a suburb called Evanston, in the 5th Ward, which is mostly the poor ward in the Evanston area. When I was growing up, I was the youngest of one brother. I have one sibling, and I have my mother and my grandmother raised me. I never had a father at all. Like I said, growing up, going to school there, I'm always found ways to try to make it and survive and do things in an entrepreneurial spirit at a young age.
You overcome, you conquer, you ride out the tide, practice self-do for self to improve.
It was like when I was 7th grade years old. I wanted to get a brand new Blazer. I was a Trailblazer fan back then, and I wanted to get a brand new Trailblazer coat, and it cost like $200. And I said I wanted to have it before November. And when I got it, how I got it was I used to do scorekeeping. I found out 3 little different side jobs that I can do. I used to do scorekeeping, which was keeping scores of different basketball games, leagues, get paid $35 a night for doing that. Plus, I would go out, rake leaves, and shovel snow as well. So next thing I know, all that added up, and within a month, I had the jacket. So that was a nice goal I set, and that's how I kept, setting goals for myself as I got older.